President Obama will be spending the Labor Day weekend at Camp David preparing his speech to a joint session of Congress. That's Wednesday night. The topic, of course, health care. And the president plans to target liberals, telling them that it's more important to come together, that there are more important aspects of reform than simply the public option. David Gregory is moderator of Meet the Press. David, that's your exclusive reporting this morning on the Today program, that the president is planning to sort of lay it on the line to Nancy Pelosi, presumably, and the others in that wing of the party.
Well, it's so interesting. Nancy Pelosi said the House will not pass health care reform if it doesn't have a public option. They're being very clear. Speaker Pelosi, a lot of liberals in the House are very upset with Senate Democrats, with the White House as well. They feel like they've sort of walked the plank on this public option business, only to see the president pull out a little bit too early. But I'm talking to people who are saying, look, the president is not going to back away from the public option as much as he's going to say, look, it can't be the most important thing. In the end, few people believe they'll actually get a public option. If they do, it's going to be perhaps a co-op option where, you know, there's some competition, but not a full government program. So the president's going to be in a position of saying to the liberal members of his party, look, there are other things that are more important, things that Ted Kennedy fought for, individual mandates, insurance reforms that have a guarantee issue so that you can have pre-existing conditions covered without losing insurance. Those are the things that matter. They should matter, and we should, you know, basically coalesce around that kind of reform.
What I'm wondering about is Nancy Pelosi again today puts out a statement, quote, a bill without a strong public option will not pass the House. Eliminating the public option would be a major victory for the insurance companies who have rationed care, increased premiums, and denied coverage. This strikes me a little bit like Jimmy Carter. Why isn't he calling them into the Oval Office? What's he doing at Camp David? Why isn't he calling them in and saying, you've got to get in line. Right. My presidency's on the line. You are my core supporters. You're the Speaker of the House. I don't get the lack of discipline here.
Well, and I think that's what's striking if you go back to the stimulus debate, that the White House felt like it got a little bit away from him because Speaker Pelosi and others were effectively writing the legislation. I do think he needs to show leadership here, and they recognize this, to bring everybody around and say just what you said, which is this is the kind of reform, this is what we can get, this matters. Are you really going to say no because the public option is not there at the level that you want? You're going to turn your back. He's also expected to invoke the specter of Social Security, that it was not achieved all at once, that it had to take a more incremental approach. Where he'll get pushback, though, and this I think is both on the left and in the center, is are you really doing enough to bring down costs? David Brooks writes about this on the New York Times op-ed page today, that this was really the thrust of health care reform, and is there enough being done to deal with that? But look, the White House is in a position, whether they do reconciliation, whether they try to get 60 votes and can pull an Olympia Snow, they're in a position where they've got to focus on the art of the possible right now, and it looks to be some kind of pared-down reform.
And David Bonner, of course, a former leading member of the House, yesterday on this program was saying, look, bottom line, these Democrats know if they do nothing, they will be defeated in the next election, in the midterms. Right. They've got to produce something, and that's where their interests should be lying.